Oh.
Hi, Ryan here. I just finished top 4 at the 2024 Universus Nationals that took place in 2025 for some reason. But yes, it was in January 2025, but it is a 2024 season, I suppose. So I played Hawks again, and I am now qualified for, I guess technically it's 2024 Worlds that will also be taking place in 2025. But that's next month, and yeah, this is the deck I played. I'm gonna go over it pretty quickly. I'll have a much more in-depth version of it going up on one of my friends' channels that makes content exclusively for Universus. So if you have heard me talk about this game on the podcast before and are interested to learn more, I will link some of the other videos I've done on this game in the description and some other resources to learn more about it and some like lower level gameplay of it so you can get a feel for it. But yeah, so this is my Hawks deck that made top 4. 4 copies Hawk's Feather. I think like some people have played fewer of this in the past with less synergies, but I think you just need 4, and I'm playing all the cards that make it better. 4 copies of Double Jumbo Fist to buff all the mids, and specifically to combo with Focus Attack. If you want to see like how all these cards interact super well with each other, I'll say watch my round 5 feature match on Twitch on the Universus channel. I was round 5 feature. I played against my good friend Mitchell, who also made top 4, but we played round 5 undefeated. And just if you want to see how the combo works, I do it there. So instead of explaining it here, we got 4 Absorb the Energy Spirit Strike. This card is basically a hard counter to Lethal Slash. It'll flip it face down before Lethal Slash gets to fire its response, and it will stay in their card pool. You'll get a momentum, and it can fuel your offense and your defense with stuff like 2 copies of Petric Baby, EX3 and Powerful 3, good way to spend momentum, has a lot of keywords, and all your cards have different keywords. So Double Jumbo Fist is Punch Slam, and Hawk's Feather is Ranged Weapon, and you can lead with Double Jumbo Fist, and then go to Petric Baby, and then put a Hawk's Feather in your card pool, and the stats just get kind of out of hand with Stun 2 and EX3 and Powerful 3. That can be a finisher when you don't see Focus Attack. You can only play 4 copies of Focus Attack, so this is kind of like not as strong Focus Attack 5 and 6, but still pretty good. And it's better to open with it, obviously, because it doesn't need combo. It can just be an attack on its own. 2 copies of Featherstorm to facilitate like longer strings by making feathers not count towards progressive. It is a low block also, which the deck is pretty low on. It doesn't have that many, but you don't want to overload on low blocks, because if you get stuck with low blocks, Hawks can only change zones to high. So if you're stuck with too many low blocks, sometimes you can't block at all. So it's better to have more mids and highs in your deck than lows in this deck, because you can always make a low into a high once per turn. And then the final attack is just 1 copy of Vile Seizing. It's a 1 high breaker. I never played this as an attack one time ever, but the deadlock threat, in conjunction with like Focus Attack, is if they dip their toes in deadlock and you can hit them with the Vile Seizing deadlock into a Focus Attack, then it's just over. But this is mainly here because we needed. I wanted extra like premium high blocks to capitalize on stuff like Lethal Slash, Battle Aura, Electric Moth, just these like slow highs that they're going to pump a lot of damage onto. So in addition to the Absorb the Energy Spirit Strikes, I have 3 showdowns, and instead of a 4th showdown, because I think if you have too many 3 high blocks, you might actually not be able to block everything. But if you block with a 3 high, and then you can probably follow up a block with a 1 high, because this deck also plays a lot of speed hate. So pretty good. And then 3 copies of new number 1. This is speed reduction, and it can prevent things from being sealed, which is super good against the death symbol and loss of consciousness. You can even unseal your character if they side into Hero's Upbringing, which is very funny. 3 copies of Hacker, very good against Mimic, very good to get momentum, just great card all around. 2 copies of Incompatible Quirks. This card's great. It just has the unique keyword. It's very strong, but I wouldn't play more than 2 because we're already playing 3 copies of a unique in new number 1, and that can clog your hand sometimes. Not likely, but it's just a lost condition we're trying to avoid. So we always want to be able to build reasonably. 2 Chivalrous Thief. This can generate momentum because it can get you Hawk's Feather, and it can spend it to get rid of their momentum. And stopping their momentum is very important in this format, in my opinion, because Hawks does have the villain tag. And then Can't Escape Me, canceling their draw. It also cancels Referee Jury, which is super important. That's a very good card to stop your huge damage pump from Focus Attack. 2 copies of Hero Killer. This can keep Ymir and Bertolt off of their 9 foundation threshold so they can't flip. And then the Deadlock is just, if you're against crazy decks, the Deadlock, giving all your feather stun is kind of funny. But it's mainly for the keeping Bertol off of 9 and Ymir off of 9. 2 number 2 pro hero. This is stun, hate, and speed reduction all in one. It's great. 2 copies of Fortify Wall. It'll just be incremental speed reduction, and it's a high block, which is, as I said, at a premium in Hawks because you can make things a high. So if you have too many of the 2 diffs in your hand that you can't build all of them, I like to have the 2 diffs skew high block or besiege block, which is, these are all highs, and these all block besiege, and these are all high blocks. So I think that's where you want to like skew your 2 diffs to be. And then we've got 1 Strength and Beauty. It's a low block, so only 1, as I said. And then Citywide Crisis, which is a high block. But it's also a unique, and this is the one that's the worst. It's a 4-check, it's whatever, so we only play 1. 4 copies of Feather Control. Best card in the deck, kind of. It's very cool. This has a lot of cool stuff. You can pick up like Will of Steel in the side deck and against the third decks. It's pretty sick. Ice Gliding, 4 copies, best speed reduction for Hawks, and blocks Besiege. This is almost always in your stage, though, so blocking Besiege doesn't actually matter, because you're almost always playing this card. It's much better in your stage. 2 Relaxed Demeanor, because we just need 1 diffs, and there are not very many good ones in order. So this can send your Hawks Feathers, or it can send your Double Jumbo Fist if you need one in your discard pile, or it can set up your finished draws, which... because your finish says if the top card of your discard pile is the same as the attack in play, you can flip it draw. It's also a deadlock, but this is a combo where if you have these up, you can just like play a feather, send a feather, draw a card. It's pretty good. It comes up and it's a good just to be a 0. And then 4 Botons Coaching and 3 One-Man Inferno. This can mill feathers. And the 0 diffs being lows are fine because the 0 diffs are the easiest to get out of your hand. So if you have multiple 0s, those are the lowest investment to build multiples of them. And then sometimes you will keep a Botans Coaching and build your lower value ones just to keep the Besiege block in your hand if you're playing against a deck that plays Besiege. For the assets, 2 Vertical Movement Equipment. This card is insane, and with all the momentum gaining in this deck between Chivalrous Thief, Hacker Extraordinaire, Absorb the Energy Spirit Strike, and then just Patchwork Baby, you can manipulate the stats with Hawks. You can give it damage, then flip it stats, then stun, then give it speed. And that's like an 8 high 3, I think, with no other investment. It was an 8 high 3 stun 2. No deck in the game is blocking that turn 1. Like, they're just not. So that's a great poke just to get momentum if you have a vertical maneuvering. And then 1 Team Doctor. Just 1 up to negate anything. It's very good. I think the things that negated with it were City Rampage was a huge one. I played so many card stops City Rampage. So Showdown in the main because you can make things, or 3 Showdowns in the main because 1, Hawks can make things high always. You have so much speed hate, you can almost always put something to as close to 0 speed as possible. Showdown it. Early game, your opponent's turn almost always ends. And then late game, it can target commit their best pieces or target commit the pieces that stop you from winning on your next push. And then Feather Control can pick up foundations. It's like incremental stun hate, and it can pick up the important pieces like the 1-ofs that if you do a lot of milling because you want to see feathers, so you pick up Showdowns, or you pick up Team Doctor, or you can pick up new number 1, or just the really crucial pieces that you're missing. So great utility card. It also, in addition to working against stun, it also works against destruction. So it's good against Bertol flipping and stuff like that as well. For the side deck, we've got 2 Coronations of Historia Reyes. This is very good for the Life Immortal Shapeshifter decks, and it's very good for anyone playing like Duplers and stuff like that. If they're just doing like Elder Dragoro Sports Fest Champion, that deck did well in EU. Anything like that. If they have if you just notice their deck is just a lot of 4-ofs. Like in one of my matches, I think I played against a Mount Lady in Swiss, and I hit 3 copies of the Mount Lady Foundation that gives speed, and that was just like, if they had 3 copies of that throughout their turn, I was surely dead, but it didn't end up that way because this commits all of them. Very good card. And 2 Will of Steel. This is throw hate, and you can pick it up with Feather Control, and I think I probably could have gotten away with only 1. There were way less like throw strategies in the tournament than I thought, and I think the fact that you can pick this up with Fierce Wings also is just like, if you play 1, Hawks can also 0 out a throw once per turn, essentially, because you can make something 0 speed and flip it. So you have basically once per turn anti-throw on your face. You get a couple turns to see this, and then when they make their push, you can like Fierce Wings, add this back, and then block, and then Feather Control it back to your hand and block all their throws, and then you probably win from there. So I don't know if I needed 2 of this. I don't think I needed to see it that early. And if you open with it, it's also just kind of awkward because you don't. That's not really when you want it. Like you don't want to build it. You don't want to be holding it in your hand the whole game. I feel like 2 could have hit a mistake. I've been flip-flopping between 1 and 2 throw hate cards, but I think 1 is probably necessary. 3 equanimous task because actions are scary. Cancel Runaway, Jury, City Rampage. They're equanimous, I guess, but stuff like that. Genkai's obviously, yeah. So speaking of which, 1 Genkai's, 1 Runaway, and then 1 copy of High Speed Dodge. So this is just for Colossal Detonation, almost exclusively against Mimic, and then also it can double up against Walmaria's Might against Krista, which is a deck apparently that exists now and won the tournament. So yeah, High Speed Dodge value went up because it now can negate 2 cards. But yeah, so that is my Hawks deck. I'll have links to a much more in-depth explanation of all the cards in the description. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.